Hello and welcome back to An Old Man Watches, where today I am going to be talking about Andy Sidaris' 1987 offering, Hard Ticket to Hawaii, which Wikipedia rather generously categorises as an action film. And the film begins with two drug enforcement agents stumbling across a smuggling operation on a private Hawaiian island. These agents are promptly killed, so much for those guys, I guess. But it does at least establish that the smugglers are dangerous people. Now, sometime later, two operatives for another, as yet unnamed government agency, later films will give it the rather tortured name Legion to ensure total harmony and law, to justify the backronym of lethal, accidentally intercept a delivery of illicit diamonds. The two agents in question are Donna and Taryn. Both are played by former Playboy Playmates of the Month, and this being an Andy Sidaris film, they retire to the hot tub to consider the question of where the diamonds came from and what they should do about it. Now, as it happens, the diamonds belong to drug smuggler Seth Romero, whose ruthless methods have already been shown in our opening scene. Trust me when I say that for Andy Sidaris, that kind of simple foreshadowing is an unusually sophisticated storytelling technique. Naturally, Romero takes exception to the loss of the diamonds and immediately orders his men to hunt down the two women and retrieve his property. But of course, Donna and Taryn are able to call on agency resources to help them, resulting in an escalating battle for survival. How will this battle intersect with the televised sporting event currently occurring on the islands and the simultaneous escape of a very dangerous snake inflicted by deadly toxins from cancer-infected rats? Well, in one case, the answer is not at all. This is an Andy Sidaris movie, after all. But these are things that are going on in this film at the same time as the main plot. Now, as you've probably already grasped from this video, even if you did not see my discussion of Andy Sidaris' earlier film Malibu Beach, I don't much rate Sidaris as a filmmaker. Most of his offerings feel rather like what you get if you asked a supremely hormonal teenage boy to write a James Bond film, but with female leads. There are lame one-liners, horrible racial stereotypes, random ninja weapons, and of course, naked bosoms as far as the eye can see. What you won't find in any of these films is good acting. Sidaris evidently found it easier to hire glamour models who are willing to try to act than actors who are willing to get naked, and that shows in his films. Nor will you find quality dialogue, plots any deeper than I need to justify the next bit of nudity, or even, frankly, anything particularly erotic. Rarely has so much bare flesh been so untitillating. And to be frank, Hard Ticket to Hawaii shares all of the normal faults of a Sidaris film. Or rather, almost all. Because unlike most of the other 11, I actually found Hard Ticket to Hawaii fun to watch. And I am not alone. It has a cult following due to its ridiculous action scenes, cheesy dialogue, unintentional humour, and overall absurdity. In 2014, Pace magazine even went so far as to name it the best B-movie of all time, which is perhaps overstating things a little bit, but gives you the idea of the kind of affection this film engenders. So how and why does this film manage to be fun? Well, I mean, even if you didn't ask, I'm going to tell you. And I'm going to start with a specific example of the Andy Sidaris approach to filmmaking. At least part of which seems to be, if we shot it, it should go in the film. It's a very Roger Corman kind of attitude. Hard Ticket to Hawaii shows this off in spades right from the get-go. It begins, you see, with an opening credits sequence at a shipping warehouse. A bunch of workers are shifting crates around, and wouldn't you know it, the names of the cast and crew are printed on the sides of these crates, on the delivery envelopes. It's actually a pretty cute gimmick, since an accident at that warehouse is key to the plot of the film. It's like this is an unusually efficient use of screen time. Directly after this sequence, however, comes a 3-minute scene of a small aircraft flying over many of the gorgeous scenic backdrops offered by the Hawaiian Islands, with the film's distractingly earworming original theme tune warbling over the top of it. It's a hard ticket to Hawaii. It's not paradise all the time. I'm pretty confident that this was originally intended to be the film's opening credits. The only thing it is lacking is the post-production to add the names on the screens. But then someone came up with the idea of the warehouse scene, and rather than drop this sequence, Sidaris just left it in. We filmed it, it looks cool, leave it in. I mean, and he paid for the song, dang it. He had to use it. This kind of blithe, I filmed it so I'll use it approach runs throughout the film, as it hurls all kinds of absurdity at the viewer. For instance, midway through the movie, Taryn sneaks off for a date with a TV presenter, a decision that not only shows a complete disregard for the life-threatening case at hand, but which also violates the space-time continuum. Sedaris has filmed the date at all kinds of different times of the day, in all different kinds of lighting, and then cut the scenes together without any apparent regard for any of those criteria or influences. And a lack of attention to continuity is far from the most blatant way in which this film refuses to conform to any sense of reality or causality, mind you. Hard Ticket to Hawaii has very little concern for anything except getting to its next excuse for nudity and or next ridiculous action scene. And it certainly has plenty of both of these, some of the former containing what may be the least sexy talk I've ever enjoyed in a film, while some of the latter deliver us an international drug smuggling ring that for some reason relies entirely on remote control model helicopters to make its deliveries. It also has heroes with killer frisbees and what is hands down the most absurd assassination attempt ever committed to film. Now, in many movies, individual elements making no sense would annoy me because it would undermine the other parts of the film, and I'd be rolling my eyes and asking questions like, why didn't she just run to the left or right instead of straight ahead when pursued by the thing she knows can't turn left or right? Yes, Ridley Scott, I'm looking at you. But in Hard Ticket to Hawaii, it doesn't, because this doesn't worry me, because none of the film makes any kind of sense. And it seems completely unaware of that fact. I think this may actually be the key to the film's strange charm, at least for me. I can see that no sign that Sedaris realises that his film is a narrative mess filled with terrible dialogue, nonsensical decisions, and flagrant contrivances. I genuinely think he's just making the movie he wanted to see. That's probably true of many of his other movies as well. He clearly had a thing for attractive women and for model vehicles. The helicopters that feature here will definitely not be the last narratively significant remote-controlled models in his 12 films. But in Hard Ticket to Hawaii, it all feels sincere in a way that some of the latter movies do not. Perhaps because the combination has been undermined by familiarity, perhaps because Sedaris never quite achieves the same absurd heights of plot weirdness, or perhaps because Sedaris was just a bit more self-aware and calculated about what he was doing. Those later films don't quite have the same gonzo charm of this one. But whatever the reason, Hard Ticket to Hawaii is, in my opinion, clearly the most fun Andy Sedaris movie to watch. I'm not going to call it the best Andy Sedaris movie, because that implies some level of quality that it doesn't have. If you have a taste for cheese-tastic, gaudy 80s excess that's completely unaware of how silly it is, it might be a good use of 100 minutes of your time. And if you're not, well, I mean, at least look up Hard Ticket to Hawaii Assassin on YouTube and marvel at the fact that there is no sign in this movie that Sedaris realizes how ridiculous that 90 seconds really is. Next time, just as silly, but far less fun, is the 1958 science fiction apocalypse of The Day the Sky Exploded. But that's next time. Until then, thanks for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. And if you've seen today's movie, did you enjoy it as much as I did? Let me know what you thought of it.